today we are talking about multiplying by 3-digit numbers. We've already done this, but these are going to include the number 0. So here's my very first example, and you guys can do this with me on your whiteboards if you just want the practice, but please make sure that you're paying attention. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to set this up vertically. So I'm going to do 234 times 120. Now there's a couple different ways you can do this. Remember the way that we like dangle the 0? We hang that little guy off to the side? Okay, so that's one way. We could set it up like this. 234 times 120 and dangle that 0 off to the side. Then we would just drop it and multiply like normal. Okay? So if we do it this way, then I would go ahead and I would multiply the 2 times my 4, which is 8, the 2 times the 3, which is 6, and the 2 times the 2, which is 4. And then I would go ahead and put a placeholder down here, and then I'm going to take the 1 to the 4, which is 4, 1 times 3, which is 3, and 1 times 2, which is 2. Okay? Now I would add all of this together, and I end up with 8, 10, 8, 2, but don't forget the 0 that I dangled over here. I got to bring that down. So it makes my answer 28,080. Okay, so that's one way you can do it. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay, yes.
Why not just multiply it by 12 and add the 0?
That's just what I did. That's what I just did.
Yeah, but you took the extra steps.
No, I didn't do anything extra. I multiplied it by 12, then I put the 0 at the end.
No, but you could just still use the 12.
That's,
But you have to.
Well, do you know what 234 times 12 is? That's why you have to do it in 2 steps. Because you got to take the 2. It's such a big number. Some of us only know our 12 facts up through 12. Maybe a little, maybe 15. But most it's 12. And so you would have to do at least 2 steps like that and then put your 0 at the end. Okay, another way that you could do this is you could leave it the same, just like this right here. But you would just drop your 0 here. Okay? Okay, then just, probably because you draw a lot. Okay, so you can just drop your 0, and then you can start multiplying out the 2 times 4, which is 8, 2 times 3, which is 6, and 2 times 2, which is 4. So instead of dangling it off to the side, I'm going to go ahead and just put it right here as like a placeholder. Because if I actually multiply that out, guys, what would that look like? Yeah, it'd be an entire row of zeros. So that's kind of silly to do that. You don't have to. You can just drop it right there. Okay, and then you could hold this place here and then multiply your 1 to your 4, 1 to the 3, 1 to the 2. You're still going to end up with the same thing that we had last time. It's just another way to look at it, and which is basically the same thing. Okay? All right. So I want you guys to try this one. It's going to be 243 times 102. See if you notice something different. One 123 times 102. See if you can figure out how to solve that. Goodness, I forgot to record. Here we go. Okay, so I'm going to start with the very last digit. So I'm going to start with a 2, just like normal. 2 times 3 is 6. 2 times 4 is 8, and 2 times 2 is 4. All right, I'm going to mark that 2 out, and I'm going to hold my place here with a 0. Now, if I were to, this is what most of you did who multiplied out the 0. You said 0 times 3 is 0, 0 times 4 is 0, 0 times 2 is 0. That's a safe bet. You're not going to mess up if you do that, okay? If you did that, then your next step was you mark this out, and now I hold 2 placeholders. Okay, some of you forgot the second placeholder.
What's the shortcut?
I'll show you in just a minute. Now you're going to take the 1 times 3, 1 times 4, and 1 times 2. And we add all of those together, and your answer that you would have had, that some of you did have, is 24,786. Now, if you don't want to do the entire row of zeros, what you could have done is this. We set it up just like this. I'm still going to multiply that first row. So I'm still going to have 486 as my first partial product. But instead of doing an entire row of zeros, I'm going to put this placeholder here. I know that 0 times all of these things right up here is going to be 0. So I can skip that step and just put a placeholder here as well. And then start multiplying the 1 times the 3, the 1 times the 4, and the 1 times the 2. And then I can add those together. And if you notice, I still have the same answer, but I have one less row of work. I left out that row of all the zeros. Do y'all see the difference there? This is okay. You're not going to mess up as long as you write out every single step. If you feel like that's nonsense and you're like, I can do this quicker and I'm not going to mess up, then eliminate that step and just make sure you put an extra placeholder here for that 0. Okay? Yes. Okay. Any questions on those? We're going to do some more practice too. Yes.
Does it work if you flip-flop the numbers, like 102 times 243?
Yes.
Would that be easier?
Let's do it. If we were to flip-flop it, if we did 102 times 243,
Yeah, that's more.
what do you think it's going to be easier though?
No.
Because I have to multiply now a 3 times all of these digits, a 4 times all of these digits, and a 2 times all of these digits versus that 0, which is a little quicker to do.
Okay.
So you could, it's just going to be, you're definitely going to have 3 rows for sure.
Yeah, I guess
Okay. All right. During a minor league baseball game, a vendor sold 120 hot dogs for $3.25 each. What amount of money did the vendor collect for the sale of those hot dogs? So probably. So somebody tell me what I need to do, how to set up my problem so I can solve for this. What would you put on top and what would you put on bottom?
325 times 120.
That's what I would do. I would do it like this too. Now you have a couple options since the 0 is at the end of the number, guys. Okay, that's not what we do. Since the 0 is at the end of the number, you can choose to leave it like that, or you can choose to dangle it. Okay, so you can set it up just like the way I have it, or you can set it up like this, where we dangle that 0 off to the side, and you're multiplying by 12 instead. Okay, however you want to do it, I want you to work it out on your board your way. Hang on, I'm still working on mine. Some of y'all are showing me your answers and I'm not ready. Okay, let me see what y'all got. Okay. Okay. Now, if you're looking at this, I want you to think about this answer right here. Would it make sense for what I have at the top? Or am I missing something? I'm multiplying whole numbers. Good. Okay, let me get this written. And then this will come straight down. Raise your hand right now if you did the dangle method, if you dangled your 0. Okay, cool. Raise your hand if you just put your placeholder and then you went on about your business. Cool. Okay. So I want you to look at these two things. I went ahead and put a comma here and did 39,000. Now, if I was doing 325 times 120, my answer would be 39,000. But am I multiplying two whole numbers? No, I've got a mixed number in the form of a decimal. $3.25 times 120. So what amount would make sense? Okay, $3.25 is close to about $3. So if I did 3 times 120, what would that be? 360. Okay, so if I'm trying to figure out where my decimal goes in this number, where does it make sense for it to go? If it's about $360, where would I put it? Somebody tell me.
After the first zero, when you count them.
If it's close to $360, where would it go? Yeah, because we estimated. So we said 325 is about $3. 3 times 120 would be $360. So if I'm trying to figure out where my decimal is going to go in this big number here, good, Milo. Okay, Milo showed me that he put his decimal right here. So it should be $390. Okay, same thing here. It's just a different way of multiplying it out. Okay, but make sure that you put your decimal so that your answer is reasonable. You can use estimation. That's what we just did. I said 325 is close to what? $3. Multiply that by 120, then you can check to see if your answer is reasonable. Yes. Yes. Okay, here's some more practice problems. We've got about 5 minutes or so before we start, so I'm going to pick a couple. I'm going to let you guys tell me which ones you want me to do, and we'll do 2 of them. And if you want to do some more to be checked, we can. We can take as much time as we need. Okay, I don't want to rush you guys. C and E? Okay, so let's look at C for a minute. I've got this 0 that's dangling, right? I could rewrite it so that I multiply 230 times 12 and dangle that 0 off to the side. Or I could just multiply it like it is. If I choose to multiply it like it is, 0 times all of these top numbers is going to give me an entire row of zeros. So I could just go ahead and put my placeholder. Is there anything wrong with going ahead and putting all of my zeros here though? No. It just would then look like this. And then I start multiplying 2 times 0, 2 times 3, and 2 times 4. Okay. You can eliminate that first row by just putting a placeholder. Okay, so I'm going to mark this out and go ahead and put my placeholder here. And then 2 times 0 is 0, 2 times 3 is 6, 2 times 2 is 4. Okay, mark out that 2, and I'm going to put a placeholder under the 2. It's got to drop straight down. And I'm going to multiply my 1 times 0, 1 times 3, and 1 times 2. Now I can add those together. And you should end up with 27,600.
Huh? What?
27,600. Now, if you dangled your 0, let's look at what that looks like so you can check your work. Okay, my 0, I'm just going to drop straight down to my answer at the very end. For right now, I'm going to start by multiplying the 2 times 0, which is 0. 2 times 3 is 6, and 2 times 2 is 4. Then I'm going to cross that out, hold my place underneath the 2, and now I'm going to take 1 times 0 is 0, 1 times 3 is 3, 1 times 2 is 2. Add all that together. Don't forget to drop the 0 that you dangled, and now I end up with the exact same thing. Okay, are we starting to get the hang of it? A little bit? Let's do F. I have $1.25 times 204. My 0 is in the middle this time. It's not at the end, so no dangling allowed. You have to multiply it out, or you can leave out that row. So let's do 4 times 5 is 20. We carry the 2. 4 times 2 is 8, plus that 2 that we carried makes that 10, and carry the 1, and that makes it 5. Now, I'm done with the 4, so I'm going to put a placeholder underneath it. Here's where you have options. You can choose to you can choose to use this 0 that I underlined and multiply it by every single digit on that top row to where you have an entire row of zeros. You can also choose to just go ahead and make it a placeholder. and then start dividing. Goodness gracious, not dividing. Multiplying the 2. Good grief, Miss Watson. Okay. So then I would do 2 times 5 is 10. Carry the 1. 2 times 2 is 4, plus the 1 is 5. And 2 times 1 is 2. And then we add that together. So that's your shortcut way. Do I need to do that a different way? Do you want me to do it with the whole row of zeros?
No. Why do I keep doing this wrong?
Should we do one more?
No.
Do we want to? Okay, I want to do one more. Do we want to do one more with the 0 at the end or in the middle?
At the end.
At the end?
No, in the middle, in the middle.
In the middle. Okay, so let's look at E. Let's look at E. I'm going to do 4 times 4, which is 16, carry the 1. 4 times 3 is 12, plus that 1 is 13, carry the 1. And then 4 times 2 is 8, plus the 1 is 9. So 936 is my first partial product. Okay, I'm going to mark that 4 out and put a placeholder here. With the 0, I can choose to either multiply that 0 by the 4 and put a 0 here, times 3, 0 here, times 2, 0 here for a whole row of zeros. Or I can go ahead and just put a placeholder here and then start multiplying the 2 by everything. So 2 times 4 is 8, 2 times 3 is 6, 2 times 2 is 4. I can add those together and my answer will be 47,736. Okay, how do we feel, guys?
Kind of good.
Kind of good. Should we do another?
No.
Okay, y'all make sure y'all ask me questions then. If you get stuck on one, come see me, ask me so that I can help you, okay? You have the rest of the class period to work on your written practice, and it starts on page 388. Page 388.